Ohtani to the Blue Jays. Yankees being extorted. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Happy Saturday. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. The Yankees and Padres have been talking Juan Soto, but the talks have stalled as of yesterday because of the initial asking price right now from San Diego. For those that haven't heard, it was Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and three or four more prospects. Okay, upwards of three or four more prospects. So essentially, the ask was about 7 players for Juan Soto, 1 year of Juan Soto, one guaranteed year of Juan Soto. Like I said, I'll say this again. I do think if Juan Soto comes here, if he comes here, the Yankees they'll do enough, and he'll like it enough for him to want to have a sign an extension. I'm not going to speak for him or Scott Boras. So, and the Yankees obviously have to make enough moves to make it worth getting Soto. So they have to make more moves on top of that. But the ask was crazy, and then I heard later. I don't know if this was a counter proposal or whatnot. The ask now was money, and I don't know how much cash, and Michael King for Soto and Trent Grisham, who's an outfielder with 2 controllable years left. Okay, which takes some salary off them. And then we talked about Jay Cronenworth already, but again, if the ask is if you want to take 7 years of Jay Cronenworth just to lower the prospect capital a little bit, that's more than likely going to make it more difficult to re-sign Juan Soto. Grisham, on the other hand, has 2 years of control, but does he represent an upgrade? I don't know. He's pretty good defender, lefty hitter, whatnot. I mean, we can put the ball in play. But again, if I had to take a contract, it would be Grisham over Cronenworth. But again, Grisham and Soto creates a blockade for Jason Dominguez, so that has to be kept in mind. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be probably 3 or 4 pitchers, and the fact is, like, if you want Drew Thorpe, you can't have Michael King. Okay, having both of them is going to be you have to pick one of them. And you can have Brito and Vasquez, and you can even choose maybe between Will Warren and Hampton. We want to keep Drew Thorpe here. But a couple things about Michael King too. Yeah, he had a great transition from reliever to starter, but he is 28 and he has 2 years of control left. Clark Schmidt's younger and he has 4 years of control left. So just food for thought in terms of who they want to keep, who they want to not keep. But again, this is an evolving situation. But the talks have stalled because of the initial ask was outrageous. And again, it's supposed to be. It always is initial talk. So, which confused me because you have so many fans outraged at Cashman for not essentially agreeing to being extorted. So many fans are trashing Cashman. It's comical. No sane GM was going to take that for Juan Soto, for 1 year Juan Soto. No way. So it's evolving. It's going to come down to a compromise at some point. But I do think the other piece I wanted to talk about, Shohei Ohtani, I do think he'll probably get signed before Soto gets traded. And one reason why I think this as a scare tactic, the Padres probably want to try to get other teams involved to drive the price up on the Yankees to get them to blink. But it's going to be pretty difficult. Now, in terms of Shohei Ohtani, by the way, make sure you sub to this channel because this stuff is going to continue to go, and I'll keep you updated on everything. So I thank you for subbing to the channel. Hit the notification bell too. That way you don't miss anything, and you're always in the front of the line. So I thank you. But in terms of Ohtani now, we're hearing news that the Blue Jays are emerging as a real serious suitor for Shohei Ohtani. And I said something yesterday that if let's just say they swing and miss on Ohtani, because he's going to cost a lot of money, there's no doubt about it. $500 million minimum, most likely. So if they swing and miss on Ohtani, he goes elsewhere. All right. They might overpay for Cody Bellinger. And I think one or the other, either Ohtani or Bellinger, is probably going to go to the Blue Jays. Now, the Yankees are also in dialogues right now with Scott Boras about Bellnger, too. They're not waiting on him. They're talking about him as well. So, which is a good sign. Okay. But in terms of Ohtani, a couple things here. And yet the Blue Jays fans have been screaming and clamoring for them to give extensions to Vlad Guerrero and Bo Bichette, right? And they haven't done it. They haven't shown an appetite for it. And now they're in their trade rumor mill. So, and a couple little pieces of tidbits of information here. WAR and FWAR combined. If you combine Vlad and Bichette, it either equals or is less FWAR or WAR than Ohtani by himself. And again, these guys are probably going to run $25-30 million a year on their contract extensions, right? I'd be shocked if it didn't. And combining it's upwards of 50 to 60 million. You have 50 million headed towards Ohtani, and you get better production from one guy. Okay, the trade capital they could get by moving Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Let's just say to the Cubs, they were mentioned as a suitor or someone else. But even if you trade them in separate deals, you can get enough trade capital to build around a guy like Ohtani if you bring him here. Who again, he's not going to pitch in 2024. It's just his offensive production, but his offensive production alone is more impactful than these guys are. I'm not saying the stats accumulated total, the WAR and the FWAR. His impact is more fruitful, more substantial than these guys combined. So, which makes an argument for signing a Shohei Ohtani rather than extending Vlad and Bo an actual credible position to discuss or to put forth. And would I be surprised if Ohtani went to the Jays? I would not. And would I be surprised if we went to the Jays and they traded either Bichette or Vlad? More likely Vlad, I think. So I think if they're going to extend one, it's probably going to be Bichette. He's just a better all-around player. And they could still get a good amount of capital for Vlad. And again, that you can use to build around Bichette and Ohtani or build around Ohtani himself. So it's food for thought. So it's really food for thought. So load up the comments. Let me know what you think now. The Blue Jays are becoming pretty serious suitors. And again, if they were to bring in an Ohtani, then again, that just strengthens the need for the Yankees to bring in Juan Soto. At the end of the day, I think it'll happen. I think the proposals will have to come back down to earth because I think the Padres know too that they're not going to successfully extort the Yankees, not to this degree. Okay, even for Juan Soto, for 1 year Soto. So, and they'll still get a good package. It will, the Yankees are going to feel some pain on this one, but they have to. He's a generational player. Okay, they're not going to get him for nothing. So, and so just food for thought. So this is but that's where they're at right now in the Juan Soto talks. Okay, and the Blue Jays have really emerged as a serious for Shohei Ohtani, which is crazy. But that will be a shift of a lot of stuff in the American League East. I mean, it would really force Baltimore to make moves. It would really force Tampa to make moves and Boston to make moves. But Boston apparently has already pivoted away from Ohtani. Okay, so have the Mets, so have the Rangers. So which leaves teams down to I mentioned them, but they were down to 3 or 4 yesterday. But the Blue Jays are really emerging as the strong front runner here. So I'm looking down here right now. Okay, just making sure I don't have any other news for you right now. Nothing yet, but that's what we have right now. Okay. Oh, by the way, the Dodgers are close to re-signing reliever Joe Kelly. So they were fine. They were finalizing. Oh yeah, they did. They reached agreement right now. MLBTradeRumors.com. Reliever Joe Kelly, playoff tester reliever. Kelly and the Dodgers. Wrist right from MLBTradeRumors.com. Kelly and the Dodgers have agreed to terms. Bad for reports, and the deal will be official when Kelly passes a physical. It is expected that Kelly signed a 1-year contract, according to John Heyman from the New York Post. It's also on MLBTradeRumors.com, corroborating the reporting. So they brought back Joe Kelly. It's crazy because they gave him his $1 million buyout and then let him test free agency, but maybe he wasn't finding enough suitors, so they brought him back. So they added a reliever, and they're going to probably have to add a starting pitcher or two too. So, and I'm not ruling the Dodgers out on Shohei Ohtani at all, because there's not been much talks about this. But when it's talks about the Blue Jays becoming front runners, you can kind of put the pieces together here too. And Ohtani makes sense for them. They haven't gotten a superstar in a while. He represents that as well. Question is he willing to play in Canada? So there is a huge Japanese population in Canada, huge Japanese market in Canada. So that he has working in his favor. And I do think the Jays will have a fair chance at moving at least Vlad Guerrero Jr. and getting a good return as well. So, but stay tuned, gang. It's only going to get crazier from here. Winter meetings start right around the corner.